Hey everyone, welcome to the KE Report and a company update from Kuya Silver, chatting with the president and CEO David Stein. We are going to be recapping most recent news release from June 19th, announcing an LOI with Silver Crown Royalties. This is a new silver royalty focused company. $5 million royalty partnership, a combination of $3 million US cash and $2 million in Silver Crown units for let's call it a sliding scale royalty. Initially 4.5% for a total of 475,000 ounces, and then the royalty reduces to 1% for the life of the mine, all at this Bethania Silver project. Kuya Silver is traded on the CSE under the symbol KUYA, on the OTCQB under the symbol KUYAF, and the Frankfurt Exchange 6MR1. David, explain this LOI to us. Why are you going into a royalty partnership here with Silver Crown Royalties to sell some of the silver-only production from Bethania?
Sure. Thanks, Corey. So let me start with the financing itself, and then on part B, I'll talk about the partnership aspect of it. So, we addressed our immediate financial needs several months ago. We did an equity issue, and we continue to look at lots of different opportunities, different structures, way to strengthen our balance sheet and give us more financial flexibility as we grow Kuya. We've got lots and lots of different things we can do to grow Kuya, as the listeners hopefully know, and if they don't know, we can talk about that separately. So this was an opportunity that came to us. We've looked from time to time over really the life of the company at royalty type financing structures. And, what we like about this one is, it's a relatively small amount of silver when we think about the overall size of the project over the long term, that we're looking at essentially, selling to get the upfront payment. And, it's going to give us a lot of additional flexibility on the balance sheet to accelerate the ramp up even faster than we already are doing. And, the faster we get some meaningful cash flow, the quicker we can do exploration, and maybe even we allocate some of this money to exploration even sooner. We haven't decided yet. So bottom line is, we're going to get more production faster. We're going to get more exploration faster, which is how we grow the resource at Bethania. That's really important, really, to unlocking value and sort of taking the company from where it is today as a microcap junior to, I think Bethania is, going to help us be one of the biggest players in the silver sector over the next few years. So this royalty meets a lot of strategic goals for us. The partnership aspect is that we've agreed to take 2 million of the 5 million in shares of Silver Crown, and that'll work out to be roughly 10% of the company. And we like that because really the royalty that we're doing with them is quite transformational. It's going to be their biggest and best royalty that they've ever done, and as a new company. And I think is really going to take them to the next level as a royalty vehicle, publicly traded royalty vehicle, the only one that's 100% focused on silver. So with the Kuya deal in hand, I think you can make the case there's a lot of upside, and with Silver Crown shares, and that's something that we can participate in as major shareholders. So in the end, I think this $5 million deal could end up being a $7, $8, $9, $10 million deal, depending on how those shares perform over the next few years. And we're very excited about that aspect as well.
So those shares, since we're talking about those right now, there are any restrictions around them? Do you have full optionality in terms of if you want to sell them? Give us more details on these shares and when you think this deal would close.
Yeah, no restrictions on the shares, other than same as any other participant in the upcoming placement. So we may have a 4-month hold or something like that, which is again not a big deal. So the other thing on the shares is because the Silver Crowns, they've engineered their capital structure to be a vehicle that can be listed on the U.S. So they have very few shares outstanding at a relatively high price, currently around 650 Canadian. As a result, the shares are marginable as well. So that's something I don't know if we'll need to use that or not, but it's a nice thing to have. And in terms of when it will close, I believe it will be late July or early August would be my guess. Silver Crown is to raise the money for the deal, and they're in the process of doing that, and another royalty kind of top up royalty that they're doing that they had already announced. So they'll add the Kuya deal onto that and raise that in the coming weeks. And while that's all happening, we'll get the definitive documentation, finalize due diligence, and all that should be done in the next month or so.
Okay. Oh, that actually answers a couple questions that came in that asked what still needs to happen to get this deal done. Sounds like Silver Crown just needs to complete a financing. When you talk about development and how this money could help speed up development, last time we were talking about how you're targeting 100 tons per day in Q3, operational break even in Q4, and the big picture phase one target is for 350 tons per day. Do any of these timelines move? And what is that timeline then to phase one, that 350 tons per day?
To be perfectly honest, we have not re-engineered the mine plan yet. We did not do this deal because we needed to do it. We did it because we felt like it was a good opportunity to take advantage of the market and do a deal that can add a lot of strength to our balance sheet and a lot of flexibility. So in the coming months, we'll be looking at how we can allocate 1 or 2 million of the three, let's say, on projects that could accelerate production. And we're not taking off the table that we'll go right and start doing some exploration very soon as well, which could huge value. So we're looking at all things are on the table right now, and we'll update the market as soon as we can on that.
Let's also get you to outline how this deal is structured in terms of silver deliveries. It moves over a few years, actually. It seems a bit more back end loaded to get to that 475,000 ounces when the royalty moves down to 1% for the mine life. Talk to us about what the deliverables are for Kuya, please.
Sure. So first thing, it's all financially settled, all of the royalty. So in a sense, doesn't it doesn't matter how much we produce if we're paying the minimum. But the minimum that we have in the first year was structured in a way that it's very low, so that it does not put any meaningful financial stress on the company while we're ramping up. So we're really happy with that. I think any deal of this size, especially with a mine that's still ramping up or a pre-production situation, the royalty company is going to want some kind of a guarantee or a minimum payment. So that was definitely on the table. But again, I think we managed that very well by back end loading that. So the numbers specifically are 4,500 per quarter ounces over the first 4 quarters. Then it goes up to 9,000. And then I think it's basically the remainder of the 475,000 ounces divided by the remaining 8 years. But by then we should be producing way more than that. So we'll actually be looking at the 4.5% royalty at that point. The minimum only matters if we're producing a lower amount of silver. But at 1 million ounces a year, we'd be basically doing about 45,000 ounces to Silver Crown per year of silver, and it is only silver, this royalty. So we do produce 75 to 80% of our production is silver, but the byproduct portion, 25% is not included in this at all. We get 100% of that.
So, David, with this deal, because as you just said, it's not all silver production here, but it is a large portion of silver production. Does this cap the upside at all for the company in the silver space when it comes to silver price increases?
Absolutely not. I mean, the total amount that we're talking about in the sort of the upfront part of it, the 475,000 ounce, the first few years, when we think about what we expect the scale of Bethania to be in the longer term, and that's obviously based on our resource today. But when we think about the exploration upside, this drops down to a 1% royalty from 4.5. So there's a pretty dramatic step down after the initial amount has been delivered. And given the size and scale of the Bethania district that we control, and all the work that we've already done to prove that there's more veins and the veins go deeper and there's extensions, frankly, I think this project's going to get way, way larger, and this initial 475,000 ounces is going to seem like a drop in the bucket pretty soon.
So, David, let's get an operational update then. Can you share with us how this ramp up is going, how the mine is running, anything that you can tell us on the operational front?
Sure. Well, I mean, before I do that, I think it's worth being clear about our plans. We're going to report quarterly. We're going to report the operational tons, grade, et cetera, after the quarter ends, call it a week to 10 days. As soon as we can basically get all that data processed, we'll report that. So similar in structure to the press release that we put out in April on Q1, but we're going to be able to do it sooner. And then we'll follow that up about a month later with the financials for that quarter. And so every quarter from now on, you're going to get 2 press releases from Kuya just on the operations. One is going to be the mining, tons, grade, et cetera, operational numbers, and then the second press release is going to be the financials. So that's what to expect from us in terms of hard numbers. In terms of what I can say is that we saw a very rapid boost in production as soon as we closed that last financing in April, and we were able to put some more cash to work at Bethania. We're getting a very kind of immediate payoff from that is what we're seeing in terms of the ramp up. We've had a very good month of May, and we're looking at finishing strong here and reporting a quarter that is significantly better and with higher production than we saw in the first quarter. And I think that's what we need to show is quarter over quarter progress. And I'm very confident we'll be able to show the market that here in early July.
I think you're right, David. From the emails that I'm getting and what I'm hearing about this company is, look, you're in the ramp up phase. We all know that. So, yeah, you need to show growth quarter after quarter. Let's also talk exploration then. You brought it up a couple times here that there is this exploration component. I know people are very focused on the operations and production right now, but with a healthier treasury, when or if this deal gets signed and you get that $3 million, what would you do exploration wise? What's coming, let's say, for the back half of this year?
So the immediate priority would be the down dip extension of the main veins that we're currently mining at Bethania, because we can drill from underground. So our drilling costs per meter are going to be cheaper. Our historical discovery cost is 20 cents per ounce. So we think we can, maintain that by doing shallow drilling from surface and then underground drilling in the case where we have the underground workings already at Bethania. So that would be the priority. There's no reason why we can't at least double the resource at depth there. Even that, is not a super deep mine in terms of if you compare it with other similar mines with the same style of veins that we have at Bethania. Some of them are much, much deeper. And we're relatively shallow and at the top of the hydrothermal system. So that would be the number one priority. We've got, numerous regional targets, and we're going to update the market on that again soon. But, we have, dozens and dozens of veins that we found at surface that look really good as well. So we will hit those. Unlikely it will be this year, again, because I think the priority is the down dip extension of the Bethania veins. That's the lowest of the low-hanging fruit. We have a lot of low-hanging fruit, I like to say, but the lowest of where the apples are already on the ground is the down dip extension, and that's what we got to drill first.
All right, David, thank you very much for this update. Again, David Stein, President and CEO of Kuya Silver. I'll post a link to the company's website in the show notes. Please click that link, read over that recent news, and send me any other questions you have for David. I will be following up with them when we get some of those initial numbers of Q2 production after this quarter ends. David, thank you very much for the update.